Milad Sullivan for Kimura.se. Standing here with Mr. Zahabi from the TriStar Gym in Montreal, the famous head coach for George St. Pierre. We just saw you take care of Miguel Torres for his upcoming fight at Media Workouts. Tell us a little bit about how his camp's been for this fight.
Miguel's been very focused. You know, he's been living with me for this camp. He's been living with me for 3 months. The holidays rolled by, his birthday rolled by. Everything was kept very quiet, you know, just training every day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. He's just put everything he's got in this fight, and it means a lot to everybody, you know, me, him, and the whole camp.
Being a former champion at the WEC, he's known for being a tremendously all-around guy, having great jiu-jitsu, having a great stand-up, and just being a fierce competitor. Especially one thing that comes in mind when talking about Miguel Torres is the commentary that Frank Mir used to do for the WEC and his fights. And he goes that some stories that comes from his gym is on the other side of mythology. Can you tell us a little about that and how Miguel Torres is whilst working out?
You know, when Miguel, how he used to train was very different than the approach we're using now. He was the last man standing in his gym, and you'd have corpses all around him laying injured and hurt. And that's something I wanted to move him away from, because he does have a lot of heart, a lot of will, you know, more than I've ever seen with anyone else. More desire to win, more heart to stay in there when it gets tough. But I really want to teach him a more cerebral approach. And not that the heart and desire is not important. It's extremely important. But you need the two together. You need your heart and your mind aligned together. And I've been making him do things a little different, and it's been paying dividends. He's been, you know, I think he's learning now that doing more all the time is not always better. And it's quality that comes first, then quantity. And I think you're going to see a good improvement on him.
What do you think, besides all those things, but what is the main ingredient that sets him apart from other fighters?
You know, he's gotten really far on his own. You know, he's had some good coaches with him as well, but he's made it really far on just his heart and his desire. And I think with the right guidance, he can go so far with that, because that's the fuel. You know, that's really the fuel. But it's one part of the game. You know, you need to have all parts. And I think he's figuring that out. He's getting older and wiser, and he's figuring out, you know, what the game's all about.
He was pretty much unbeaten for about 5 or 6 years before he lost 2 straight, if I'm not mistaken. What has he looked, you know, what has the aspects of the game that he's looking to change for his fight against Antonio Banuelos?
All aspects, you know, we're working on a few key things standing, a few key things in his wrestling, and a few key things in his jiu-jitsu. We're not going to try and change everything all at once. I don't really believe in that, honestly. I believe that you got to have a goal in mind, and you got to take one step at a time. But all facets are being, you know, modified and changed one bit at a time.
We gotta also, since we have you here, we gotta ask you about George St. Pierre. How's he doing right now? How's he holding up? How's training going?
George is working hard, man. He's working hard. He's not looking down on Jake Shields at all. Everybody in the camp thinks he's a very difficult opponent. You're gonna see a different strategy than the last fight. You're gonna see something a little different, more in the stand-up realm, but slightly different style this time. And I hope everybody's gonna be looking forward to that, because it's gonna be good, I think.
Is it a strategy you can talk about?
Sure. I mean, you know, the last fight George really worked the jab, but this time he's gonna be standing up, but he's gonna be doing something a little different.
Is he worried about Jake Shields' wrestling ability at all?
Jake Shields is a very decorated wrestler. He's got a lot of wrestling experience, and if you don't survey that and do everything, put your attention on it, he'll take you down, and you don't want to be stuck under him. Believe me.
John Jones said at the Media Workouts that GSP has bar none the best timing for a shoot he's ever seen in his life. Tell us a little bit about that.
You know what? The easiest takedown is a takedown where your opponent doesn't have the chance to sprawl. You know, I don't really believe in grabbing the leg and working for it. You know, and working and doing this takedown to that takedown and chain wrestling. I think in MMA it could backfire a bit. Not that it's bad. You know, some guys do it, they make it work. But in our style, it's one shot, a takedown. If you don't get it, get out and try it again. But it has to be clean and sharp. We work a little bit for it, you know, but not too much. I don't like putting my head down, and because my fighters, you know, the guillotines are very dangerous. It's not good to put your head down in a fight. The guy you carry his weight, and the Kimuras are there, and I just find it dangerous, you know.
Let's talk a little bit. You know, I know fighters and trainers don't want to look past, you know, upcoming opponents. Let's talk about the potential matchup between GSP and Anderson Silva. How tremendous would that fight be?
I think it'd probably be the greatest fight in the history of fighting. You know, MMA. I think it would be something incredible.
You got 2 pound-for-pound kings going at it, huh?
Yeah, it would be amazing.
I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for taking this time. But I want to touch on a little subject. Cesar Gracie was on Ariel Helwani's The MMA Hour, and he talked, he said kind of, he said some negative things, we can call it, about Cesar, about Jackson and the way he runs his camp. What's your 2 cents on that?
I have a great respect for Cesar. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's a well-known jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu is great. Greg is, the king in his sport. I mean, I think the most successful coach in MMA by far, and he knows a lot. Believe me, and he's been around the block many, many times, and he's got a lot of tricks, and I think he's going to be very successful for a long time to come.
Mr. Zahabi, thank you so much for taking your time with us. Kimura.se standing here with Firas Zahabi, TriStar Gym, Montreal, Canada. Probably one of the best gyms in all of MMA. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, man.